Hello, let's continue with the WorkCAD3 introductory videos. I will talk about the style editor in this video. It's a very powerful tool that will allow us to make infinite combinations, and we will be able to create a visual environment that is perfectly adaptable to the needs of our client. There are two ways to access this style editor. On the one hand, we can click on a widget, and then in the graphics window and in the style, we can choose the styles that have already been created for that widget. Invert, source, zones. I have created the last two, and I have mentioned that if we don't want to load any of these styles that I have created, we use the Options button and the Editing Styles. If we want to access this window, we go to the toolbar, and in View, we have to select the Advanced View option. We click on Style Editor window. So let's do it. Again, we use the window Style Editing, and we will see the different work options that are presented to us. We could create a new style. For doing that, we would have to choose the type of widgets that we want to create for that style. For example, let's do it for a button. We rename it, and we would already have this new style created, which would start from the default style, and we will click on the style, so we see that all those properties that we can modify in the Style button. We can erase the style we just created. Click on Delete. We can copy and paste styles from one widget to another. We can load the default style, and now I have loaded a style of my own. I'm going to release it so that you can see it. It is a style that has been created from the default style. The fonts are green. The zone buttons have been rounded. The group box containing these buttons has also been rounded. Now I'm going to load the default style, which is very similar to the previous one, but the source buttons, when I select this, the corners are blue. The zone buttons are no longer rounded, and now they are completely straight. Now we could load the style created by us. I'm going to do it. I'm going to load the style that we had in the beginning. We can save a style that we want. We can see the CSS code and modify it. Well, what I'm going to do next is going to be to modify a button so you can see the properties we use when we are changing it. Let's go to Button. We choose the source style, which has been one that I created myself. So the first thing I want to tell you is that in the case of a button, we have different states. We have the normal state, when the button is not pressed. We see checked as a status when the button is pressed. And we have other states that are not included right now. But if we want to include them, we just click on the plus button. We see how the over state appears. If we wanted to add states that we do not have included, we would add them with this tool. We choose the state we want to include, and we adhere to it. Here's what we are going to change: the background color of the button. For the source, we will choose when the button is pressed. And we see how the green appears, the one that we have chosen. Let's launch the layout so you can see in the change that we made. We see that we have a green color for this kind of state. If we click at Common, we will see that the color chart can be modifiable. For doing this, it is important that you know that the box Use as Default has to be deselected. If we click on it, we see how the color will turn into the default style, which would be gray. If we click on the color, we have a window that allows us to modify it. We can move through the circumference to choose the tone. Let's choose a red color, and we can move inside the square, changing the saturation, that is the purity of the color, and the brightness. Let's choose a color saturated and with white content. We apply, and we see that for those buttons that are chosen with the source style, if we go to the editor, we can see these buttons loaded in the source style. That is what we are modifying. We see that these buttons have the style selected with this orange-red color. I will show you more options using the style editor. Here is what I'm going to do, is to add a border. We click on Common, we select the default, we will choose a pretty dark color. We apply it, and we're going to give thickness to that edge. Right now the type of edge is dashed, but we can change it to whatever we want. We can do it point a line, dot array, we can duplicate it. Groove will have some reliefs, etc. We have different options. I will click on the default to remove the border. To remove the border, and in the border's radius, we deselect the default. We can add a rounding to the button. We could add roundings to the top, to the right, and left. Well, we have different options, and I recommend you to test the different properties that we have for each widget. And so you can see what it's possible to do with the style editor. Since the options are multiple, I will present some basic characteristics, but as I tell you, the interesting is to try and get familiar with the environment. So, this has been everything. I hope this video has been helpful for you.